So a story has been trending of a young guy, a 23-year-old Donell Mbele, who allegedly raped his girlfriend. And I've seen it all over TikTok and Twitter, which is now called X. And I thought the story is very heartbreaking, to be honest. And heartbreaking on both sides, the girl and the guy. And apparently this is not the first time something is happening. Something of this nature is happening. He's done it before, so this is the second time that he's being convicted of something like this. And a lot of people are having opinions about it, regarding, how he's being parented, how he's being raised, and how this type of behavior is very typical amongst rich boys, cheese boys. And I do get where they are coming from. Apparently the first time he was arrested for something like this, immediately afterwards he got a Porsche from his dad. So I don't know if it was really immediately afterwards or whatever, but clearly there wasn't any form of serious consequences from his parents' side, and which would lead other people to think that obviously he would act this way because he doesn't have to face consequences for anything that he does. I think there's a lot of factors that come into play of why these cheese boys, always get themselves in trouble, and they always find themselves on the wrong side of the law. It's very disappointing to see that someone so privileged could be throwing their lives away. I think that's the main thing, that everyone is just saying that you have, things that are given to you, handed to you on a silver platter, and you have such a bright future because of where you come from and who your parents are, but you're throwing it all in the dustbin just like that. And I totally get it. I think there's a lot of factors that come into play with situations like this, and I could name a few, but the three that I have right now is that, first of all, if we just look at the history of young boys and how they're being raised in society and the things that they're being fed in the media, a lot of them are not told or taught how to be chivalrous towards girls, because we have this new way of living that says that boys and girls, men and women, are equal. Young men do not feel the need to be polite towards women. They do not feel the need to be gentle towards them. They do not see the need to cherish them, because they see them as themselves. Like, if I'm a boy and I'm rough and I can take it, then you can take it, because we're both equal. So the whole point of chivalry was to train men to be gentle towards women. It was to train men to understand that they're physically stronger than women. So whenever they see a woman carrying something heavy, they should always feel the need to help her, because they know that she's not able to carry that weight the same way that they would. So it would be helpful for you to help her. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even things like violence, you would never want to be physically violent to a girl, because you know that your strength is not the same as hers. And so if a guy can handle it, if you punch him or whatever, a woman wouldn't handle it. You understand? So now that we've left that way of teaching boys that girls should be cherished, women should be cherished, they should be seen as things that should be treated with gentleness and politeness, they should be seen as fragile. It's not easy for them to to quickly see when a woman is uncomfortable, because they do not expect you to be uncomfortable. They do not expect you to not be able to carry the weight. They do not need to open the door for you and let you go in first, because you can open the door for yourself. You can do it yourself, basically. So it's not easy for them to, even without us saying anything, it's not easy for them to be able to detect that a woman is uncomfortable or a woman cannot handle a particular thing. So if in the day-to-day things like helping a lady carry their bag, or opening the door for them, or making sure that they arrive home safe, if those day-to-day things are ignored, how much more the big things, like you're having sexual intercourse and you are not realizing that this woman is not comfortable. She doesn't have to say it, but you can see it in her body language that she's not comfortable. So if you're not able to see it, read these things in the day-to-day things in life, then how are you going to be able to see it in serious cases like that? And rape in relationships is very common because people think that, you know, this is my partner, I can sleep with her whenever, and even if she doesn't feel like it, I can just say no, let's just do it, and it's fine, because if she consented to being in a relationship with me, then she's consented to having sexual intercourse with me all the time. So this rape can be tricky in that sense. But if you're a man that has a feeling towards women, that cherishes women and sees them as fragile and sees them as things to be cared about and to be considered, even in a relationship during sexual intercourse, you'll be able to detect. Now, there's been screenshots that have been circulating. I saw them in one of the comments on X, which is a conversation between the girl and this guy. And she's saying that, oh, but this is not the first time that you're hurting me, whatever. And then he says, I feel deeply remorseful, and he puts emojis. And then she said, but you keep doing it all the time. And then he's like, I know, I'm sorry, but you felt so good. He even described it and said you were so wet and warm, so I couldn't hold myself, you know, I couldn't restrain myself because of how good it felt. And to me, that just really shows that he didn't care about her during the act. Like, he didn't consider anything that was happening with her. All he cared about was busting a nut, if I can put it that way. He just cared about finishing. He just cared about how he felt in that moment. Nothing in his brain was trying to read her body, was trying to see, is this woman still okay? Is everything still fine? None at all. And that shows that he's not used to it. He's not used to having to consider. And that's where the cheese boy, rich boys mentality comes into play, because they always get what they want. They're always entitled to whatever they want. So immediately for him, he doesn't have to think of anyone else, because he doesn't, in his life, he never has to think of anyone else, because everything always comes to him. Everything's always about him. So they become self-centered in that way because of how their parents raised them, and they get whatever they want. So he didn't have to think. They don't have to think of someone else. And also, when you are raised in a situation where you get whatever you want whenever you want, you don't think that someone else outside of your family, someone that's not your mom or your dad, can say no, because your parents always say yes. So why would you say no? So because they have money, people constantly gravitate towards them because they want what they have. And, you know, it's such an honor to be friends with this guy that comes from a rich family and his mom is famous as an actress or whatever. So everyone should be honored to even exist near you, to even be known by you. So how could this girl not want it? How could this girl not want to be with you? How could she not cherish this moment and be like, wow, out of all of the girls, I'm the one that gets to be with this guy? Do you understand? So there's a lot that comes into play, and it just manifests in things like this, because it starts in the mind. It starts in how they were taught to think. So if you're a parent, so even in that screenshot, it was showing that he's so used to acting remorseful, like, oh, I'm so sorry, and then, no, please come back, because there was even a part where the girl was saying, I'm done talking to you, like, bye, like, I just don't want to hear it anymore. And he's like, no, don't go, please come back. And then he puts crying emojis, and we all know he didn't mean that. He was just using his emotions as a tactic to make her forgive him and get over it, because that's what he always does with his mom. If he steals his mom's car, and then his mom shouts at him, oh, why did you do that? I'm never going to give you the car again. He can just show remorse, like, oh, mom, I'm sorry. I won't do it again, mom. I won't do it again. Then the mom is going to melt and be like, okay, fine, I'll give you next time again. They never have to face real consequences for the things that they do. So he thought that he could get away with it the same way he gets away with it with his mom, that this girl will also get over it if he just shows a few tears, a few emojis, and say, I'm remorseful. Then she's going to say, oh, okay, it's fine, I'll forgive him, because that's what your mom always does. Your mom always feels for you. So everybody else should be doing the same. Nobody should be wanting to punish you, because you never get to get punished. You never get to face full consequences for your actions. So it also speaks to the parenting. Basically, that's where I'm getting at with this point, that it leads to the parenting, that if the parents do not take repercussions seriously, they do not take punishment seriously, then it's going to result in us having young adults like this in society, young boys that treat women this way in society, because they think that their home situations and how their moms and dads deal with them is the way the world is going to deal with them. So he doesn't expect that girl to feel violated or to not forgive. He doesn't expect that girl to take action and to actually get him arrested, because his mom has been saying, I'll take away your phone, for years and years and years, and saying, I'll never give you the car again for years and years and years. And she never fell through with it. She never went through with it. So this girl is also not going to do the same. So that's why I feel like it's important for him to be where he is right now, because maybe it's going to be a wake-up call for him that this is real life. Whatever your parents taught you at your house in Sandton doesn't apply here in the real world. In the real world, when we say you will get arrested, it's going to happen. So even things like, I don't even know if his parents are divorced, but I know that they're not together. And so we know what happens with boy moms. Boy moms are all over. Moms are always so proud to be having boys, and they're always so proud to be raising sons. But what has society gained from that? What positive thing has come out of boy-mom relationships? Like, what positivity has come out? Because all they ever did was cuddle them. All they ever did was cuddle them, and everything that they do, they need to be cushioned. And, oh no, this is my baby boy. Like, my baby boy, he could never do any wrong. And that's why we keep emphasizing that fathers need to be in their children's lives. Fathers need to be there, because the moms can't raise boys. The moms can never do it, because the moms have soft spot for these children. And it's not even that they're doing it on purpose. It's a natural thing. Like, I have a mom. I'm raised by a mom and a dad, but I know that my mom has a soft spot for my brothers. It's not something that she does intentionally. It's just the way that it is. The same way my dad also has a soft spot for us, his daughters. So it's a natural thing that happens, but it's so dangerous when there's no line that is being drawn. Because now if the mom doesn't know how to discipline his son, then the son is going to go into the world and behave in inappropriate ways, because his mom is always going to be there to protect him and defend him. And I know in this particular situation, the mom, which is Sonia, didn't condone this at all, and she did, do the best that she could the first time around to make sure that he faces consequences. He knows that what he did is wrong and that it doesn't happen again. But unfortunately, we're back here. So this shows the absence in or the fault in the parenting. Somewhere it's being lost in communication. Maybe the father is not always there. Yes, the father is in his life, but he's there in a monetary way. What do you need for school? Do you need this? I'll buy you this. And that's how it is. There's no real conversations. There's no real involvement in how he raises his son, because raising children is teaching them that this is how you think, this is how you speak, this is how you act as a man. Buying them cars and houses and apartments and taking them to the most expensive schools is not raising them. That is not raising them. Just because he's eating and his body's growing, it doesn't mean that he's being raised. So it's important for parents to know that raising is more than just giving money and providing for whatever that they need. It's also training in the way to think, the way to perceive life, and the way to navigate situations. So this shows a lot on the child's side, that there's a lot that he hasn't been taught. there's a lot that he hasn't been taught, and it's manifesting in things like this. And it is so unfortunate. It is really, 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 really sad. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think that's why they say that easy times create weak men. Like, if boys are always in easy situations, they don't have to struggle for anything, they don't have to work for anything, they don't have to, struggle in any way, then their minds are constantly idling and they are rotting. Another thing that comes into play is the things that these guys and just people in general are exposed to on social media, which is a lot of porn, a lot of sexually explicit content. This boy also could be someone that watches porn a lot, and when you're watching porn a lot, you want to try certain things because you're seeing it in those girls that, oh, they look like they love it, they enjoy it. Because this looks like a situation where he was doing something that made the girl uncomfortable and it was hurting her. And he didn't care because in his mind, he's imagining that video that he watched that, oh, this girl was, moaning and she was liking it, whatever. And he wants to try it and he wants to do it. And he's not cognizant of the fact that this one is not enjoying it. So he's all up in his head trying to do something that he saw was so great and he's so invested in it that he doesn't see that someone else is uncomfortable. So to not see sex as a two-way street is really something that porn can do to you. Because porn tells you that if that guy is slapping that girl during the act, then it's fine because that girl is moaning and she's happy to be doing it. So you translate that into real life that, oh, okay, so if I do this thing, it's going to be fine. So that's what happens when you are sexually perverted. It becomes a one-way street. It becomes a you thing that, oh, you're enjoying it so much, you love it so much, and this is something that you've been desiring, that you've been seeing on your phone, and you want to try it out, so you don't want anything getting in your way. So yeah, guys, it's really, really bad. And even just looking at him, I feel sick. And it's not that sick that says you make me sick because you're such a bad person, but it's just that sick of people are being affected. Like, society here is deteriorating a lot, and it's so sad to see young boys becoming perpetrators like this. At 23 years old, you're already charged with 2 counts of rape. Imagine that. Such things are always reserved for, like, oh, he's 30 something and he's like 40, so it's the older guys, like, vele, there's something wrong with you. You are matured enough to be able to know what you're doing, so you did it on purpose, so you're an evil man. But at 23-year-old, you're not thinking that their minds could get there, because there should be at least some innocence. There should be some information that they know better, or there should be some fear to be able to do things like this. Like, you should be scared, but they're not. They're really, really, really not. So I wish that we could go back to teaching young boys and just teaching men in general that women are something to be cherished. And I know that is a two-way street. That is a two-way street, because if women are saying, no, we are men, we are just like you, we are equal, we are just as equal, we are just as strong as you are, then how do we expect men to respond to that? So I get it, but I'm just saying that in a different world, I wish that we could go back to chivalry, to men seeing women as fragile, as things that should be cherished and taken care of, that we mustn't want to see a woman hurt. I must not want to see a woman struggle. And we can also go back to not normalizing porn. On every social media app, there's always an explicit video of some sort, a sexualized society. Because young boys do not know when to cap it. They do not know that, oh, if you're in your room watching porn, it should be ending there. You're not supposed to be doing that in real life. You're not supposed to be treating people that way in real life. because they're not supposed to even be watching it in the first place. But to not be able to cap it, to not be able to work it out in your mind that this is not real life. This is not real life, and this is not how things should be. What they are portraying there is not how things should be. So you should never take that and want to translate it into real life. And have parents that are serious about raising their children, that are serious about being part of their children's lives, especially fathers. When we're raising young boys need their fathers. They need their mothers for their nurturing when they're still babies and they need to be fed and taken care of. Yes, they need their moms, but the older that they get, they need their dads, because they need to see a male figure and be able to emulate that. They need to know what life is about. They need to know that there's consequences to actions. They need to know how men should behave, how men should think, how men should relate to women, how men should treat women. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. I just don't want to think about it too much, because it just really hurts to see such a thing, and to know that the poor girl is going to be so traumatized, and is going to this is going to affect how she moves in relationships moving forward because of what she experienced with this young guy. And I think the best thing that could happen for this boy is for him to be in prison. He has to face consequences, guys, because this cannot be happening over and over again. And this will be an example to the other boys, young boys that are just like him, that whatever is happening at your Senton home is not what happens in real life. In real life, you will face consequences. And he should be used as an example for the larger audience, because we need to have these situations prevented. We can't have 23-year-olds being charged for rape. We can't have it, guys. Even just men in general, we can't keep having stories like this. And if we can nip it in the bud, if we can catch it while it's still early with these young boys, by showing them what happens to men that do things like this, then it will be for the betterment of our society. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, guys. I know this is a different setting today, but I just wanted to get it off my chest while it's still fresh. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video.